Tom here for Metalloud, and I'm here to review the new album from Every Time I Die called Low Teens. One of the feelings I really got from the last album from Parts Unknown was that it was influenced heavily by classic punk rock and hardcore and kind of speed metal, things like that. It had this real grooviness to it that just made you kind of want to party. I even described it as partycore in my first review because I am trash. Now, the Parts Unknown is inspired by hardcore punk and that stuff. This album, Low Teens, is grunge all the way through. The whole album just feels like it really does not give a shit about harmonizing, writing chords that even go together, or even being in key at times. Every Time I Die is really the only band that can pull something like this off and just write something and actually make it work without sounding harsh or out of place or anything like that. And right from the get-go, right from the opening track, which is Fear and Trembling, you really get a sense of where this album is going and how it differs in sound compared to their last albums and pretty much everything else that they've done up until this point. And it's not the explosion that you got from Parts Unknown with The Great Secret, where it just comes out of nowhere with blow your fucking brains out, but it's more like just getting hit in the face with old oil or sludge from a car. It just makes you feel grimy and dirty and just disgusting, but at the same time, the difference is you want more. You really gonna want to go back for a second or a third or a fourth or a 10 millionth time to listen to that track and to just hit repeat on this whole album all the way through. You have songs in here like It Remembers, which actually features Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco, which really have this depressing feel to them and just feel overwhelming overall. And everything just feels like it's been stretched out to its breaking point. It's kind of slow, but at the same time, it's just so heavy. What they've done on that song, it just feels kind of stuck in a lot of ways. You really feel like you're kind of the feeling you get for the lyrics and the guitar work and the drumming and everything else along the line is that you're stuck in this old dusty town and you just really can't escape, and you can't escape your past. And I love that on that track. The song C++ Love Will Get You Killed is really grunge all the way through, mixed with what Every Time I Die have always done with hardcore and metalcore and things like that. And it's just harsh and aggressive, but it goes from Keith Buckley's vocals go from very kind of solemn and lamenting to just exploding to aggressive in a split second, and it just works so well. And it feels like his vocal delivery on that song has no real regard for the music that's going behind it, and it's something that actually works on that track for them. It comes off having this unique feel that, again, not a lot of bands could really pull off, but Every Time I Die have absolutely nailed it with that sound, and especially on that track. Now, this album is probably the most Every Time I Die album, and yet the least Every Time I Die album. And I know that probably sounds a little bit out there, but hear me out on that. There's just songs on there like Just As Real But Not As Brightly Lit that sound more like an evolution of an improvement of the sound that's on their first two albums, that kind of rough mathcore or early metalcore sound. And then there's songs like Glitches and The Coin Have a Say, which feel, again, more like something off of From Parts Unknown, more like a continuation of that. And you even have songs like Two Summers, which sounds more of that kind of soulful rock that was going on with New Junk Aesthetic. But then there's songs like the aforementioned C++ Love Will Get You Killed, which are just so out there and really just out of nowhere. Or the closing track on this called Map Change, which just sounds so different from anything that they've really done. It sounds way bigger than anything that they've actually done. It feels like the whole band had a real chance to kind of stretch themselves out on that track, particularly the closing track, Map Change. And the song really kind of is helped by that. It really has this huge sense of the band throughout it, this personality going on. And I really love that, because despite it sounding so different from anything that they've actually done in the past, it really sounds like Every Time I Die. It's different, and yet it's the same. And they nailed it with that. Again, there's really few bands out there that could manage to pull something like this off without it coming off as sounding like they've compromised their sound or anything like that. Now, lyrically, this album is absolutely brilliant, but at this point, that's kind of par for the course for Every Time I Die. I wouldn't expect anything less, but Keith Buckley, again, on here, just absolutely nails everything. There's so much depression going on here, and the lyrics get very, very dark, and I'm not going to call this the darkest album that they've written, but very, very close to X Lives or even The Big Dirty, which I found as being very, very depressing albums overall. And this really, really travels into that territory. And it's just something that's fantastic, because it really adds to the oppressive atmosphere that they're creating with the music behind it. And that's something that they do very, very well. Keith Buckley, in particular, with his vocal delivery, just absolutely nails it on this whole album. Now, Every Time I Die are really one of the few bands, I know I keep saying that, but they really are one of the few bands that actually push themselves from album to album and are not really willing to stay still with how they sound. They're always improving things, and if anything doesn't work, they'll try things. If it doesn't work, they won't go back to it. If it works, they stick with it, they improve it, they evolve it. And, they don't let anything get in their way. Not personal issues, not band change lineups. I mean, here we have another new drummer, Daniel Davison, formerly of Norma Jean and briefly within Under Oath, is filling in for Legs, who departed. They don't let anything really kind of get in their way of writing a fantastic album, and it really shows here on Low Teens that they're just always trying to go out there and really prove themselves. They've improved everything that they've done. They've changed things a lot. It really is a different sound for the band, and yet at the same time, they really haven't strayed anything. They haven't strayed from their core and what makes the band great. And Low Teens really exemplifies everything that makes Every Time a great band to listen to. So if you're a fan of heavy music, I don't care what it is, punk rock, hardcore, metalcore, mathcore, death metal, doom metal, sludge, whatever, you really need to check out Low Teens. You're doing yourself a disservice if you don't listen to this album. Trust me on that. And whatever you're into, you're gonna find something on this album to like and to enjoy. It's just that good. And really, at this point, Every Time I Die have just yet again shown the scene how it is done. Thank you for watching the review of Every Time I Die's Low Teens. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. You can also check out the Every Time I Die review series, where I went back and reviewed every single Every Time I Die album up to this point. There's links below in the description, as well as you can find it on the channel in the playlist section. You'll make sure that you are following me on Twitter at Metalloud, like the Facebook page, facebook.com/Metalloud, and stay up to date with everything Metalloud.